So, I'm going to try to do a video showing you how I do my setup. This was my setup this morning, unfortunately, or fortunately, I did have my mother come in town and visit for a little while. So, it ultimately cost me $500 because I done this setup this morning. I didn't post any numbers on Face or on Lottery Post, but I I done my setup. This was the numbers I come up with, and later on, whenever I went to check the lottery numbers while she was still here, lo and behold, the 509 was actually on the list down here at the very last number. Um, and that was my setup for today. So today I would have hit it, and I want to share with everybody how I went about coming up with these numbers, but I'm going to not do it in a after the fact run. I'm actually going to do a live run for which I is how I would choose my numbers for tonight. So the first thing is obviously make sure your thing's updated. I'm going to go over here and I don't really pay attention to the single, double, or triple. I probably should, um, but I just it's something that I really don't look at that much. But given this a quick glance, I would venture to say it's probably going to be a single. It's just under its average, and the way I look at this is it's one game out. Its average is 2.6, so that's within 1.6 of its average. The double is 1.7 from its average because it just hit. So the 1.6 is a little closer to hitting on its average. Of course, an average is it can hit less than or more than. But if you look, here's a single and a single, and you look back here and look at the singles and the singles. So uh, if you look, at previous runs, that's obviously how it comes up with its averages. So I don't generally pay too much attention to this, although, like I said, I probably should. Um, but the first thing I'm going to do is look at the mirrors, and I know my number for today because that was a double. I don't actually expect a double to come back to back. I do expect it to be a single, so if you go back over here and look at the singles, like I said, you can see it's 1.6 from its average toward the next closest one's 1.7 from its average. So I'd probably go with the single number if that's what decides to come up. But so the first thing I'm going to look at is my mirrors. And I know that in the first digit, the mirror of the first digit would have to be a 2. Um, but I'm looking to see in each position basically if it's a possibility. So to help eliminate what I'm going to do. So as far as the mirror digits go, in the first position, the mirror digit of a 1 is a 2. I don't believe that the first digit's going to. I don't believe the first digit is going to repeat. So in the second position, I just look at my graphs down here and see what kind of information I'm getting. Uh, the second position, I would probably wait one more run before I play a mirror digit in the second position as well, which in this case would be a 0. So in the third position, it's still a little off of its average, but if we look at these previous hits here and then kind of pay attention to what is going on in this particular case, um, yeah, I'm not sure. I it's this here is actually that's kind of spread out. So if you double this one right here, you're looking at about a 7.8, 7.9. So it's not quite close enough for position two to be a mirror digit. Position one's not close enough to be a mirror digit. Um, but position three's a possibility that it's going to be a mirror digit. So, with that being said, a mirror digit of 1 is a 2. So, I'm going to consider a 2 as my last digit. So, whenever I go there, the next thing I check is my repeats. And this is basically using the program pretty much to its fullest, uh, but just trying to help everybody, how they go about doing their decisions. So the repeat digits per position. So for position one, a one hit, and so the repeat it hits every 3.8 games. It has had a big long skip there, a few long skips. But if you see and how many times in the past, however many is in this string, like 70, I think is what RL said. Um, that position does repeat. Uh, It looks like it may be due for a repeat, so it's possible that my first position is going to be a number one. I think my third position was a number two. So my second position uh, doesn't look like it's going to be a repeat. And I'm just because I'm glancing down here and looking at the long strings. Um, so a three in the second position, I just don't believe it's going to be a repeat digit. The third position as well um, is actually very possible that the third digit could be a repeat, but I think it's going to be the one off. I think that is going to be a two instead of a repeat, even though it's got to hit here pretty soon because it's way over its average and it's got to hit in order to maintain that low of an average. So a one here to repeat in the third position is a very good strong possibility. So we're going to go ahead and but we'll be able to here in just a minute. We'll figure that out. So the next thing we're going to do is look at the one-offs. So one off of the first position is going to be a zero or a two. If we was looking at that. So in the first position, I just kind of glance down here and see what kind of patterns that it's held. Um, I think it'll probably go a couple more before it actually repeats. Or, this is repeat digits, not the one-offs. So the repeat digit here, I'm not so sure about my one now because I thought it was going to be a one in the first position because of my mirror. The mirror and the one was a two in the first position, and I don't believe it's going to be a mirror. So my guess is the one-offs. I'm just trying to look at everything all at one time while I'm here. The repeat digits, do I think any of them are going to repeat? So again, it it does look like that one should repeat in that particular position. So we're going to leave that there. The second one, it hits a lot of back to backs as well. So it's very possible that the three will repeat in the second position. So we just kind of keep that in the back of our mind while we go through the rest of the analysis. The third one, I do not believe that one is going to repeat. So When it comes to the repeat digits, I had a 1 in my first position and a 2 in my last position. Uh, because I just don't think that the third position, I don't think that one's going to repeat. So, but the next thing we do is go over here to our Q stats, and the outside pairs, the first number and the last number is what we was wanting to look at. So I believe it was going to be a 2 in the last position. So we'll look at the 1 2. Go down here and find the 1 2 and click it. It's currently 28 games out. Average is 15, so it's almost 2 times its average. It looks like that, in the way I look at my averages, if you double this number, it's going to be a 31.6. It's within 3.5 basically of hitting that average, and so it does make it do. The That was the outside pair. So let's look at the front pair to see what basically looks the best for the front pair. So you can go through here and click each one of these, but because I believe the 1 is going to repeat in the first position, I'm only interested in the ones that have a 1 in the first position. So in this particular case, I'm looking here. It's way over its average. Go down to the next one, which is a 1 0. It's way over its average, but not quite double. The 1 2 just obviously hit. So it's not even close. 1 3. 3 just hit. Basically, I'm looking to see if it looks like that might be a repeat. And it doesn't look like it repeats when it's a 1 3. So I'm going to eliminate 3 for the second position. So in that case, I'm going to go over here to the back pair, and I know the last number is going to be a 2. So I'm only going to look at the ones with a 2 and see what they look like. And I'm kind of going through this a little quicker than I normally would, um, just because even though I'm trying to explain what I'm looking at or looking for, um, and this is for the back pair, so because I think it's the last number is going to be a 2, I'm only looking again for the ones that have a 2 in it. And I think the closest one is going to be that 0 2. So I'm going to look in that particular case for the second position. I want to see if it looks like it's going to be a 0 by looking at this graph right here. And you can see that it's 1.3 off of its average. This one over here is 1.4 over its average. And then these here. So the number for tonight's draw should be a 102. With that being said, I want to look at the high-low. I want to look at the last position first to see if it makes sense that it's going to be a 2. Because it's either going to be a low number, a 0, 1, or it's going to be a high number, a 2 and a 3. And I'm liking my decision on the 2 just by looking at my hits and skips. Uh, I like that particular pattern right there. So I think that high number. So basically 2 or a 3. So then I go over here to the odds and the evens, and I look at that last position to look like if it's going to be the 2 or the 3. So obviously I'm thinking it's going to be a 2, so I'm paying more attention to the even. It's only 0.9 out, and this one here's 2 out, so I believe that last number is going to be a 2 as far as my decision there. So my overall number is a 102. So now if I go to the sums, I want to pay attention to the 3 because 102 adds up to a 3. And if you look at it, it's 3 games out. Its average is 6.15. And then just kind of look at some patterns and see how often that it comes across its to hit its average, what it does to make that average work. So I do like the three. You can check all of them, go through, kind of get an idea of what they're doing. I have hit the sums quite often, and then I'll have these two numbers or something backwards in my decisions. But I've had pretty good luck with guessing which sum's going to come up. And generally, like this one here, the seven, it looks like it could be, the three or the seven so far. And if the if the seven don't hit tonight, tomorrow, one of the two draws tomorrow, your sum is going to be a seven. So in order to get a seven, you're going to want to look at like a 2-2-3, something to that effect. Uh, but right now I'm looking at a 102. I do like the three average. I like the pattern that I'm seeing here as far as the hits and skips go on it. So we're going to exit out of this, and then we're going to go to the 102. We'll click the run, and these are the numbers that it has generated. Uh, Today's number was 509. So if I wanted to reduce down my numbers, a lot of times these things have repeat digits. So a 5, a 0, a 0, a 0 and a 9. These 2, 3 here. Actually, these 5 here because they have a 5, 0, and a 9. 0 and a 9, a 0. You see what I'm saying? Only play the ones with the 5, 0, or 9 that is incorporated into the new number. So, with that being said, that is the numbers that I would be looking at tonight. So, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 numbers that I would feel pretty confident or, feel pretty good about playing. So, if I wanted to go with the one with the 7 sums, I would have to go back and re, uh, if I look at the sum digits, if I click the 7, I wished it told me right down here which which ones of these numbers add up to 7. As it is, I have to literally write them down so I know which numbers to play. Because there's only going to be, I think, 4 of them that add up to 7. Uh, so that gives you an idea of what possibly to look at. So if, I'm going to look at the 223, 232, and the 322, or well, maybe that's the only three, or a 322. No, that's eight. Eight. So maybe them's the only three that come up to a 7. So with that being said, I'm going to look and see if that first digit looks better to be a 2 or a 3 by going to the first digit. Does a 2 or a 3 look better? Uh, the 3 is way outside of its average. So if you 5 times that, that's going to be about a 22. So that one there is within 2.2 of its average, but the 2 is only 1.9. So that would leave me with the 223 or the 232 because I think that last digit was going to be a 2. From what I looked at earlier, I would play the 232 as my second choice. So if we go up here and do the 232, click run there, when these numbers come up, I'm only going to play the ones with a 5, 9, or a 0. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11. So there's 11 here. There was 9 on the other one. So altogether 20 numbers for a chance to win 500. Like I said earlier this morning when I done my rundown, I just didn't have a chance to fill out my tickets and go down and buy my tickets, or I would have made $500. But anyway, hope that helps. Explain how to go about using each one of the each one of these down here. I don't know that this one here actually helps a lot. I haven't paid much attention to it. Non-positional, so zeros definitely do. If you look at the past draws of it, even though it does show that there's the maximum skips 9 in this graph, a 70 or whatever hits are right there in that graph. It's not missed more than 3 before it hits. So that makes that 232 not so good to play because the zero does look like it's going to hit or is absolutely due. So it's 3 games out right now. 1.75 is its average. So if you double the 1.75, that's a 3.5. So it's within a half a game of actually hitting its average, is the way I look at it. This is 1.6 games off of its average. This is a zero point 0.7 off of its average. So far the zero point 0.5. Uh, this is definitely one of the digits that I would want to play. So that puts me back on my 102 that I had made the decision on earlier. So when we do that and we look at these numbers again, like I said, you'd only play the 9 numbers that have the 5-0 or the 9. Yeah, that could possibly come back to bite me if we don't have any digits repeat. And that is possible. This is a random lottery. So, anyway, I hope this has helped how you guys may look at the game and make your decisions. With that being said, good luck to everybody. I know this was probably a long-winded video, but hopefully it definitely makes more sense and gives you a better idea how to go about looking for your numbers. I've been working hard trying to study this thing for the past week, and this morning would have been my first big win, although I did go live with it a few times, playing 50 cents a bet, so I could play, two different combinations at 50 cents a piece. That way, I was only spending 16 bucks. However, I would be one digit off each time that I done it. It would have been something to that effect, or something to that effect. Whatever the case may have been. The next thing that you actually can look at it when you do decide, like the 102, if I look at my list, I look at an L pattern, and in this particular case, I would take the 123 and the 201. And if you see the L pattern, and the reason I say that is it seems to work better midday to midday or evening to evening. So this was my midday is the 131. So I want to go to the evening draw, which is a 123, and the evening before that was a 201. And I'm looking at an L pattern of a 102. So if I am right, that 102 looks pretty good. And uh, yeah, for the 3 or the 7, as far as the sums go, because I won't take the 2 3 and then this 2, because that's not really my L pattern that I'm looking for. So I do like my choice of the 102. So them was the numbers that I would have played for today, is that set right there, or for tonight. So anyway, hope it helps. Uh, you can take that to the bank, I guess. Let's all take it to the bank, right? Good luck, everybody. See ya.